Hello everyone, my name is Jeremiah Swisher and I have high functioning autism, and today I would like to talk about relationships once again, as I posted a last video about relationships, but I want to cover more in depth about my personal relationship life, as it's one of those things on the autism spectrum especially that it's really hard to get relationships. And then you've got some occasions in where there are some stereotypical people, when I've done research, that think that people with disabilities don't have sexual urges, which that is absolutely incorrect, because I've known several people with disabilities and where they definitely have a sexual passion for somebody out there. And I think it's one of those important things to discuss. And at the same time, I want you to know who I am and who I stand for a bit more. Anyways, today I received a question, and this one person sent me a question saying, "Hey Jeremiah, have you ever had a relationship with regular girls before? What will you tell your girlfriends, partners, or spouses of Aspies and AS, which AS stands for Autism Spectrum, for those of you that aren't familiar with what AS stands for? And what do you think of a regular person, what should they do and should not do when building an understanding of you? Thank you." Now, first off, what do you define as being regular? Do you mean like regular, like someone being like regular, like non-disability related? If you're talking about somebody regular, I have not had a relationship with someone regular. And I've known plenty of autistics that have dated and have married regular people, but someone like myself, I tend to prefer someone that has more of like a disability like me, because at least if somebody has a disability or if someone's a minority, somehow I think they seem to understand me a lot better and where I'm coming from. Because if you're like in the majority population where you don't have a disability, or maybe the majority population and where you're like the typical college kid that likes to party and have fun and you're straight and heterosexual, then you, in general, you're going to fit in more, but oftentimes you leave out minority groups, and I think that's absolutely wrong to do. I think that it's important to include everyone, and at least my stay in DC, I've noticed that at least there's a lot more of a melting pot and where everyone comes together and works together. But then at the same time, you have a lot more, in my experience, you have a lot more national organizations that help out minority populations. Like, but, and because I received an internship through one of those organizations, I really get to help out people with disabilities, and I get to strive for what I'm passionate about, which when it comes to promoting disability rights. And one of the things we had was a Medicaid rally, and it says for real people, real voices, real reforms, my Medicaid matters. But I can go on separately on that topic. But I want to get back on topic when discussing relationships. Now, have I been with girls before? Yes, I have. It depends what you define that as, being friends or being in a relationship. I would assume that question more means the idea of being in a relationship, like as in love. So, yes, I have been in a relationship with a girl, and that was back in middle school. And we really loved each other, even though when you're kids, sometimes love is more just childish. And then when growing up, I figured, well, I really love her to death as a friend, but I just didn't really feel the relationship for her. And I think that was primarily because I saw where I was going and I saw where she was going, and it looked like we were going on two separate roads. And I sometimes think that it's okay to have differences, but with her, she had some other differences, and I had some other differences. And sometimes things just don't work out, because when you're in a relationship, it's one of those things where you have a lot in common. So usually you've met this person somewhere, maybe at work, school, throughout somewhere that you've met through like a mutual friend. And then usually you have a lot in common, and sometimes even though opposites do attract sometimes, but I'm more of a person that looks for what we have in common, even though I do prefer dating, women who have disabilities like myself, just because I seem to get a lot more along with them personally. I mean, but not to say there have been some regular girls interested in me as well, and then I've had some guys interested in me as well. But it's one of those things with guys. I think that they can look really good looking or attractive, or hot as an attractive. But I don't see them as being that I want to kiss them up and and all that, just because I don't want to. It's one of those things where I learned from young on that although I do get a little bit unconfident when it comes to relationships for who I want to date exactly, whether girls or guys, but I just see that I prefer women a lot more, because with guys, I knew from day one that I didn't like to be super close with guys, but maybe I could get over it. I don't think I could. And that was primarily because when I was dancing one time, sometimes people have to, sandwich you in. And when I had these two guys sandwich me, I did not like it, especially when I felt their genital parts. And I didn't like it personally. But then again, when I went to prom with a girl back in high school, although she had Asperger's, I loved personally slow dancing with her. But so I did feel an attraction when she got really close to me. But anyways, getting off of that, I've had one regular relationship before, and really, I tell girlfriends and all that what I think about a regular person should not do. Okay, for example, I cannot rate what people should do and should not do when it comes to personal lives. I mean, each and every individual is different. But one of the things that turns me off is when guys and girls, they treat each other like a number that you pull off one of those red machines from Target, saying, "Oh, you're number 11 or number 12." I can't stand those people that like dating like 10 people a year, or have sex with like 30 different people. It's just really annoying. I mean, you only need one person to be happy. One. And I do understand, with dating that you try people out, but I don't like saying the term dating just I like because I don't like saying, "Hey, I'm testing you and I'm interested in you." Before I'm even interested, I just say, "Let's just hang out." And I say that to everyone. And interested can mean different things. Like interested could mean, "Hey, I want to get to know you better as a friend, and maybe we can become best friends." Or maybe interested isn't I'm interested in a relationship, but I don't like using the term dating. And the advice, and another piece of advice I would, I guess, say is that besides, I don't want anyone being like James Bond going out with 20 different women, because I don't have respect for those kind of people. Is that when going out with someone on a date or an event, it's a great time to get to know the person, but don't go too far outside your boundaries. Meaning that you don't want to get too personal with the person if you only met him a couple times. As you keep getting to know the person better, you can get a little bit more personal and get to know that person better, because there are people out there that you might think, haha, that joke is funny, but it can greatly offend the person. And being autistic, it's hard to read those social skills or social cues, but after a while, if you've hung out with people, which I try to hang out with people, you get to learn some of those skills. And one of the things that helps for me is that if you're ever in a relationship, the other person that you're with will want to get close with you, because that's what a lot of people like doing. So what I'd recommend doing is I would recommend maybe like if you're like in high school or middle school, maybe go to a couple dances and where you're doing a slow dance with like one of your friends. Now with women, at least you're lucky, because if you're doing like a slow dance, getting used to being close to someone, you can just be slow dancing with someone as a friend, because it's one of those unwritten social rules that you can sleep in the same bed with a woman, you can dance with the girl, and it's not going to mean anything. It's just going to mean you're friends. I cannot stand social unwritten rule, by the way, because what I've learned is that if you're a guy and you slow dance, not like not slow dance as much, but dancing with another guy, it just doesn't look very good. People aren't very, very accepting to realize that if a guy dances with another guy, it doesn't always mean that they like each other or that they're into men. It's just because maybe they're learning how to dance. or or to that extreme. But a lot of times it's very stereotypical, at least in high school, middle school, that the only time you can dance is with guys or with women, but it's okay if women can dance with each other. It's just if you're a guy, then there's something wrong with you. And as you grow up, you break some of the social rules, because I know when I've been to conferences, especially, I mean, if there's only one bed and I have a roommate, I'm going to share that bed, even though I'm going to keep my side and he's going to keep that side. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to ask my sexuality. I see myself very interested in women, but it's one of those things where, because I have autism, I sometimes feel very asexual, meaning that I'm not interested in either. I'm just more interested in how people look for the beauty, even though I have had scenes in where I've been very interested in women, but that's not because they're walking up and it's like, ooh, you're hot, you're hot. No, not in that way. Usually, if I feel very attracted to women, it's usually, because they're getting really close to me when slow dancing, or like the movie in Black Swan, which I don't want to go there. But if you want to know what I mean, I see it. But make sure that you're 17 and older. And so in that way, otherwise with guys, like I said before, like I feel attracted, but not like romantically. So I guess under definition, that would make me mostly heterosexual, as is swinging pendulum. But I'm willing to be on my boundaries, of course, too. It's just right now I haven't really met anybody. I haven't really met like a girl where I felt like I had a lot in common with. I've had people tell me, go date this girl or date that girl or go date a woman, but I'm really picky when it comes to women, especially. So yes, I would consider myself heterosexual, but my thinking is a bit weird, because it's one of those things where a girl can say to another girl, "Hey, you're pretty," or "You're looking hot or fabulous today," and they can just be friends and not interested in the same sex. And if you say that to a guy, well, they're just going to take you in the wrong way. So that's what sucks about being a guy when it comes to unwritten rules. But another thing to know too is that since I'm in DC, one of the good things to know too is that when you're in different states, you're in different cultures. Like, one of the unwritten social rules that I learned is that when you're climbing up an escalator, or going up an escalator, if you're going on the left-hand side, you don't stand there, you pass. I found out the hard way, but good thing to know. And I kind of like it, because I like passing people, and the escalators are so slow, at least in the metro subway stations. But anyways, I think I answered all those questions. If I did not, please let me know, and I will try to post another video. Again, this is Jeremiah talking about my relationship life. Sometimes I use too much third-person dialogue when describing myself when I type up conference proposals, just to make it one good story. But I hope I've helped you out when it comes to relationships and dating and how I think. And it's hard out there being in the autism spectrum, finding that perfect somebody. But I think one of the ways is to network and maybe join some autism organizations. And find people that have a lot in common with you. I know oftentimes when I was in high school, I joined some organizations, and then you share interests with the mutual interest, and that's how you make friends. I know I have a hard time making friends, because people, I think that I'm the weird kid, but it's just a lot easier joining organizations, I think, and then you become like one of them, and you become like family, as another piece of advice. Anyways, this is Jeremiah. I hope that I've helped you out when it comes to relationships and talking a bit about myself, my relationship experiences. Bye for now, and keep watching my videos, as I love when I have